If you were immortal, what would you do with your immortal life? Let me know in the comment section below. But guys, on today's video, we're going to be reviewing the Netflix original series, The Old Guard. And I have to say, once I saw the trailer, I was sold. You have Charlize Theron is a zombie who dies and comes back and kicks ass, and she's super immortal or old. That's what I got from the trailer. So I was sold. Off the trailer alone, I'm like, okay, I have to watch this. And then I start watching the movie. And within the first scenes, I'm like, okay, this movie's about to be super badass because shit, they're immortal. And being immortal, there's certain action scenes and certain sequences that they can do that we can't do as people who are mortal because, we gotta be careful we don't die. But they don't gotta worry about that. So the movie is about Charlize Theron's character, Andy the Scythian. And being a Scythian, that means she's very, very old. We're talking about BC, before Christ, like shit, like Dawn of Man type of stuff, right? Super old. And we're following her and her crew, the Old Guard. And they have people ranging from the 1800s all the way back to the First Crusade. So we're talking about people who've been here a while. And Charlize Theron's character and the Old Guard, they actually go around helping the world, saving the world. They're part of every crisis. World War I, they were there. The Crusades, they were there. The War of 1812, they were there. Like, just think about any major conflict, and they were there doing their part in the background, in the shadows, saving the world. But now they're in 2020, and I don't know if you guys have been living under a rock or not, but in 2020, you can't do shit secret. Like, we got Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all types of different search engines, fucking TikTok spying on your phone. So like, being a secret society of immortals is very hard to hide. And to make matters worse, we're introduced to a new character, and she is a brand new immortal because for some reason one day you just wake up and you're immortal. And Andromache has to take her under her wing and teach her that this is the way of life now. Like, you being immortal, you have to cut off all ties to your family because, come on, you're immortal. Your mom's gonna grow old and die. If you have kids, they're gonna grow old and die. So you have to detach yourself. So when it comes to the lesson of immortality in this movie, you're sitting here like, I do get to live forever. But everyone I know and love is gonna die, and I'm gonna not have them. And I could never form attachment to anybody else because let's say your family, your loved ones grow old and die, and you're still around in 200 years, right? You meet someone new, you start a whole new family, and guess what? They're gonna die too. So now you're living this super lonely ass life. Granted, you're immortal, which is what we all want, right? It's kind of lit. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section below. Would you be immortal or not? Like, I'd love to hear your feedback. But when it comes to things like that, you're thinking, okay, this is not as cool as it comes off because it's super lonely. But besides that lesson in mortality, right? I want to talk about some things that the movie does really well. And the action sequence, my God, like shit. Like, the action sequence in this movie was so badass. Like, Charlize Theron's character, Andy the Andromache. I said Andy the Andromache. Andromache the Scythian, right? Because she's so old, she's been very proficient in every type of weaponry, fighting. She's forgotten more ways to kill than we will ever learn in our lifetime because she's been around for so long. So you see that action, you get that certain rush. Like, there's certain things that they can pull off because, again, they're immortal and they can get away with it. They don't have to worry about their life and dying because, they just don't. So I love the action sequences because they're really fucking badass. They're epic. They can do shit like fucking jump off of buildings, for example, right? And not worry about the consequences, which is cool when you let your imagination run wild based on the things you can do. But also, we have to remember that this is based off a comic book. So again, comic books are super, super, super lit when it comes to action sequences. So that's where that comes in. And you have this cast of characters and they all work for the most part. Like, I love the dynamic between the Old Guard in general. Like, because they're so old, certain things don't faze them. Like, certain ways of life that we lived is like, okay, we're immortal, bro. Like, we speak hundreds of languages. We do all this crazy stuff. Like, I like them. But then, of course, this movie is not just about them going about their life because there has to be a bad guy. And when it comes to the bad guy, it's the typical bullshit bad guy, capitalistic bullshit, right? They find out there's people who are immortal. They want to capture them, experiment on them, and harness their DNA so they too can be immortal. And then that becomes a game of cat and mouse because, again, these people are used to living in the shadows for thousands of years. Like, think about it. In 1777, right? Whatever, like the year after the War of Independence, you could show up, fuck shit up, run away to the forest and they will never find you, right? Get on a boat, go to Europe, and you're lost to the wind. Just shit, not even that far back. If you think about back in 1940, 1950, 1960, you could do something, disappear, and never be found. So they had that luxury. But as we advance as a society, that luxury no longer exists. You're always connected. Like, you're just always connected. And because of that, it complicates the way of life. And then they're introducing a new character who grew up and is born in the 21st century. This is her life. This is her world. And this is the life she's known and grown accustomed to. And they have to take her, teach her their ways, and also deal with all the things happening. And when it comes to that, it delivers. The emotional weight of the movie, I really like it. For example, like the two gay guys, like, man, if someone ever told me like the way they express themselves, like when the guy, there's a scene in the movie where he's expressing his love to his partner, and I'm just sitting here like, I want somebody to feel that way about me. But it makes sense because they've been together so long that it's deeper than any relationship we could ever fathom. Like, our relationship, for example, let's say you're married, like your marriage lasts, 50, 60, 70, 80 years tops, and then you're just kaput because, that's our lifespan. But imagine being together since the first crusade, right? We're talking about 1,000 years ago. This is the person you've been riding in. Like, this is the definition of ride or die. So, of course, their bond is tight. And again, even though they have that bond, that tight bond, right? You also have to understand being weary and leery of living that life. Like, come on, like, it's been 1,000 years. Like, you've done everything. You've been everywhere. Like, it's a lot. And this movie was able to navigate all that and make it work. And the fact that it makes it work and it takes a comic book property and it creates a movie that works. There's no pacing issues really, because I feel like for it to be pacing issues, there has to be a moment in the movie where I feel like this is dragging or they're moving too fast. But they're moving at a pace where I can follow it. I'm like, okay, I want to know more. I'm intrigued, but you guys aren't sitting there monologuing me to death and expositioning me like, this is why X, Y, Z. Like, I'm following along just enough to be intrigued, but while it's not harp on the situation, so I can watch it, move on to the next scene, and thoroughly wonder and enjoy, okay, I like what I just saw, but then I want to see what's next. I enjoyed this movie. Netflix is on a roll. During this COVID-19 situation, Netflix has been dropping gems, and the old guard is not nothing to snooze at. Like, in the summer with no blockbuster movies out because we're all inside, like for us to have a movie where we can watch, be excited, it has big stars, Charlize Theron and Shawala Walla. let me not do that to him. His name is down there. Like, I can't pronounce his name. Let me not do that to him. But when it has big stars like that, I mean, I don't know what else to say. I enjoyed the movie. It's action-packed. It's interesting. It's based on a comic book, so the mythology's there. The lore is there. Like, it gave me everything I needed. Badass gung fu. Like, you know how Keanu Reeves in the movie John Wick, in all the John Wick movies, he does badass gung fu, right? They do it in this movie. But then because they're fucking old, they use axes and swords and shit too. And you're like, oh, this is what we're doing now. We're combining modern fighting and old school weapons. And it surprisingly works. Like, you would think the premise of something like this would either be too over the top because immortal peacekeepers like fighting crime and being hidden in history, like that just sounds like a lot, right? Or so it's either over the top zany and doesn't make sense, or it's super boring and convoluted where they're trying to bash you over exposition, tell you this is why this is this is why this is that, and they keep going and going and going, and you're sitting there as the audience member like, bruh, like the trailer was so lit and y'all give me this trash movie. But that's not the case here. The trailer was great. The trailer hooked me up. I'm a sucker for action movies. Like Fast and the Furious, all of them, I'm a fan, right? Like just over the top things like that. But because this premise was so intriguing, I expected it to be over the top, but it wasn't. It was just right. Like like the Three Little Bears or Goldilocks and Three Little Bears. It wasn't too hot. It wasn't too over the top. It wasn't too cold, too boring. It was just right, and I was satisfied. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'd love to hear your feedback in the comment section below, because I want to know, did you guys like it as much as I did, or maybe I'm just overhyping it because, you know, there's not many blockbusters out right now and we have to get what we can get. But I loved it. I enjoyed it. And if you guys stuck out through the video for this long, I'm just going to say it. I want a sequel. The way it ended, I want a sequel. That's all I'm going to say. No more spoilers. And guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button if you guys have not already. And until next time, binge on.